Hey, how's it going, man? It's awesome to be here. Thanks so much for having me. We've been trying to do this for a while, but it's time zones and busyness lining up, and yeah, I'm glad to finally be here again. No sound. Audio issues. Oh, fun.
Might have been your sound not coming through there.
Hello.
Is it added
Let
to
me. Oh,
OBS
okay.
as
There
well?
we go. There we go. Okay. Okay. So I hope it works now. Can people let me know if it works? They say it's still no sound.
Wow.
Wow. Now I have no idea.
No, you've got sound now. You've got
Okay.
sound.
Okay, I got sound. That is good. So then let me welcome everyone once again. I hope you guys can hear me now. Something weird. Technology is weird, guys. So I have no idea what people heard. So I want to welcome our good friend Jez again. Man, glad you're here. Even if it was a rough start. But I think we got it working now, which, hallelujah. So, Dutch, how are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm very good. I like that comment in the chat, actually. The flashbacks comment there for Jez. Flashbacks of the mutant TV appearance. Oh, dear me. Still good times. No, I'm good. I'm great. I'm looking forward to getting into the topics. Looking forward to discussing today, and of course, always great to chat with Jez. So it'll be fun. You're muted again, by the way. You've muted yourself.
Yeah, but this time it was me muting myself on the mic because I was like coughing. Yeah, God. We are off to a good start here today. But I have no doubt that we are going to have an awesome show because we have a couple of awesome topics. But as always, we want to start this show with our games of the week. And Dutch and Jez, I want to know from you guys, what have you been playing lately?
I've been playing Monster Hunter Rise.
Oh, how is it?
Finally broken my Warcraft addiction temporarily. I've been playing Warcraft as well, but yeah, as pertains to Xbox, I've been playing Monster Hunter Rise, which is rolling out today in Xbox Game Pass. But I, got a sneaky review copy thanks to Capcom. it's Monster Hunter Rise launched on Nintendo Switch, and I got it. I have it on Nintendo Switch, and it's like 20 frames per second. So I was like, I am
Classic
this
Switch experience.
Yeah. I was like, I've just come in from Monster Hunter World on Xbox Series X, which runs at 60 frames and you know, with the uncapped frame rate, and I was like, I just can't do this. I can't do Monster Hunter on this, you know, anymore. So I just couldn't get into it on Switch. Like, and I just sort of knew in my guts it would launch on Xbox eventually. I just knew it because Capcom would be leaving money on the table unless Nintendo had bought some kind of really aggressive exclusivity deal. I just thought, you know, Rise will come to PC or it'll come to Xbox eventually. And then, yes, it came to PC. And now it's coming to Xbox. But not only Xbox, but also Game Pass. But yeah, it's a sort of like, you know, it's not as good as Monster Hunter World, I think. Monster Hunter World obviously had a different art style, more photorealism and that kind of stuff. But the combat's great still. There's a lot of interesting new mechanics, the Silkbind stuff, the Silk Bug things like you do, like grappling hook kind of abilities and all kinds of wacky stuff. A lot of verticality in the game, you know. You can use the silk binds to fly in the air and do plunging attacks and all that kind of stuff. And loads of new monsters that I've never seen before. A lot of them are from classic Monster Hunter games that I haven't played because Monster Hunter World was my first Monster Hunter game. I'm a Monster Hunter baby, you know. So yeah, it's kind of exciting for me seeing all the new monsters that I haven't experienced before, and it runs great on Series X. Runs really well, so I don't have to put up with Nintendo Switch long-suffering hardware anymore. So yeah, that's my game of the week.
I'm gonna dive into it over the weekend. I've downloaded it, but I obviously didn't get a review copy, so I kind of had to wait. I heard that a lot of people say that they dumbed it down a little bit to make it more like accessible to the casuals. Is that true?
Definitely, it feels easier. Like, I feel like I don't know if this is just because, you know, I've been through Monster Hunter World now and I'm used to it, but I remember getting stuck in Monster Hunter World every now and then. But I killed the first few starting monsters so damn quickly. Like trying to remember the controls and the combos and like Gunland's play slightly differently and getting used to all that. But I was just like, oh, the monster's dead already, you know. I barely touched him, so maybe they have made it a little bit easier, but I honestly wasn't sure if it was like have they made it easier or am I just used to Monster Hunter now. I don't know yet, but it's still fun. We'll see how it goes, I guess.
Sweet. Looking forward to it. That's what have you been playing?
Yeah, much like yourselves. Not much. Just Sea of Thieves this week. I've been catching up on a lot of the artsy fartsy stuff, doing overlays and intros and things for people and getting all that stuff out of the way of. Whilst I've had the mentality to sit there and do that and not just chill out and play games. So whilst I had the kind of work ethic to get into it and do it, I just thought I'd make the most of it. So getting all that done. But yeah, much like unlike Jez, who's a Monster Hunter World seasoned pro at this point, I didn't really. I've got the game. I've had the game since it launched. I bought it, but I didn't have anybody to play it with, and I didn't quite understand it, and I didn't quite play the game all the way through. I didn't really know what I was doing, and it felt relatively clunky. But I know the game is very much meant to be played kind of as a group, with co-op and things like that. So hopefully with Rise being in Game Pass, of course, I know Monster Hunter World has been for some time as well, but hopefully this easier version going into Game Pass, a lot of people will try it and get a group together and see what it's about, see if we can get into it this time.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll inspire us to go back and give Monster Hunter World another shot. You never know. But
you never know.
Yeah, just Sea of Thieves this
and
week.
Hit me up over the weekend. We're gonna have to team up, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was actually quite busy this week at my real life job. So it was kind of hard to play much. I continued a little bit with The Witcher 3, still on my playthrough with the next gen patch. I I played some Age of Empires matches again, of course, during boring Teams calls. So yeah, because over the weekend, I'm just like you are addicted to World of Warcraft. I'm addicted to H4. I'm well past the 500-hour mark already, and the people in the chat already know that no podcast goes by without me talking about H4 for at least a couple of minutes. So yeah, over the weekend I dropped out of Platinum 1. The platinum tier. I'm back in the gold tier, so I had to practice a lot and to get back in. And I think I'm just gonna let some gameplay run here in parallel from like the and gameplay does also not work. What is happening today, guys? So there we go. Here we go. So yeah, I'm gonna let some gameplay run in parallel. It's me practicing against a couple of platinum and gold players to figure out some new strategies. I need to get back into platinum rank, man. I can't live with gold rank. So yeah, I'm excited. And guys, you can already preload H2 on consoles, by the way. So just FYI. But with that, I'm leaving the H talk. I know people getting tired of it, but I'm just loving the game so much. Let me catch up on some of the super chats before we get into the actual topics. And the first of the day comes in from Drawn TJ. He sends in $20 and says, "Hey guys, do you think Halo is doomed, or do you think there is a possibility that Certain Affinity and id and the support studio from Call of Duty make Halo from now on with the guy that fixed Halo, the Halo collection, and Joseph Staten?" We will talk about the entire thing, the layoffs, of course, and Joseph Staten leaving a little later. Absolutely, we have that as a main topic today. But man, I've been saying for a while that I wonder if 343 looks into id Tech as the engine for Halo games going forward. I mean, it is an incredible shooter engine that they have in-house. So, Jez, what do you think? Is that something Microsoft could look into?
I often see these debates about who should take up Halo and what they should do with it. You know, my answer to that is id Tech probably doesn't want to. They're probably making their own games.
Yeah,
it's kind of like why would they want to take on Halo? Like, Halo's like the poison pill. I wouldn't want to deal with Halo's community. Being honest and frank about it. Like, yeah. I've said on other shows and our podcast that, like, you know, I remember all the debates about Halo 5 having ground pound and really in-depth like hand wringing over sprint in Halo. Like, you change even the smallest thing about that game, everyone freaks out and goes crazy. So for me, if I was a dev, if I was id or anyone, I'd be like, I ain't taking that shit on. I ain't taking that community on. No way. I think they should just let it die, personally. Because let's face it, they can't live up to expectations. And no matter what they do now, it's going to be scrutinized, poured over, examined under a microscope forever, and dissected with laser precision by the community and stuff like that. I think they should just push it aside, make something new, start over. 343, just do something new, do something fresh. Let a studio like a Certain Affinity try and squeeze some life out of the Master Chief Collection and what's left of Halo Infinite. Yeah. But I don't know where you take Halo as a franchise from it. I really don't. There's no.
It's tough.
There's no clear. Yeah. There's no clear vision for that as a franchise left for me. And it's. And I say this as someone who's not a Halo fan, has never really been a big Halo fan, but I cannot, for the life of me, visualize how you bring fan expectations and desires into something that's realistic and in light of the fact that the studio has had billions of dollars of
Yeah.
investment, billions with a B, and not been able to deliver, there comes a point, mathematically speaking, where it just doesn't make any sense to keep spinning the wheels in the mud like this. So would I give it to id Tech? Hell no. Because id Tech actually delivers good games, that are sort of like, based on franchises that they're passionate about in-house. You just force Halo onto them, they're gonna produce a product that Halo fans don't want, and they'll be like, "You got this wrong. id Tech's stupid." Blah blah blah. They'd be crazy to do it. That being said, there is a studio out there who I think could do it, and like I said, it's Certain Affinity.
Yeah.
Max Hoberman used to be at Bungie, and they've been working on Halo since forever anyway. Certain Affinity.
They're working on Infinite right now, so
they're working on Infinite right now. Project Tatanka, supposed battle royale mode that we don't really know the status of at the moment. So for me, I think like the future of Halo, if there indeed is a future, it probably somewhere between Certain Affinity and 343 as a support or something like that. Because I just can't see it anymore. I can't see it I don't know if Halo fans have any faith left. I would have moved on by now,
Yeah.
But
It
you
is.
never know. You never know. Because
you never know. I mean, the thing about Halo Infinite is that at its core, the gameplay mechanics were really good. I've not heard anyone complain about the actual gameplay mechanics being bad or anything. I enjoyed it very much. It felt great to play. So they had a content issue. They definitely had that, still have. And I've said this before. Dutch knows that I don't think that even if they bring out a massive content update, it would matter now in a year 23 or 24, whenever, because people just moved on. New games are coming, and I can't see that a lot of people will actually go back now. But yeah, we shall see. We shall see. Sith Lord sends in a super chat and says, UWU chess is projected dragon really scalebound? Sorry, man, I am not really getting it, but I knew that someone will bring up Scalebound, and we will talk about that probably a little later. Dronty J sends in $5 and says, the most ever put into a game was Phantasy Star Universe Ambient of Illumis on Xbox 360. He put in 1,500 hours into it. So, Jez, I know yours is World of Warcraft, probably the game you put in more than 10,000 hours. I heard you say once. Dutch, what's your?
I downloaded a mod called, an add-on called Ultaholic, which adds up all the playtime across all your different characters, and now it's closer to 17,000 hours.
Jesus, that's crazy.
And that doesn't include at least a dozen deleted characters as well.
Okay,
it's pretty insane.
That's insane.
I mean, it's interesting though about World of Warcraft because, I say I wouldn't know what to do with Halo at this point, but Blizzard's managed to turn World of Warcraft around. World of Warcraft was in free-fall decline the last couple of expansions, but this new one is they've absolutely nailed it. So it can happen. It can happen, with the right vision, the right investment, and the right people in place to make that happen. I mean, it's probably no accident that Mikey Barra, who's a hardcore World of Warcraft fanboy, is now leading Blizzard, and the first expansion released under him actually gives the fans what they want. It's I don't know, man. I wouldn't want to be in Phil's position trying to figure out what the hell to do with Halo. I wouldn't want to be there.
Yeah, it is. It is not an easy task to do. And John TJ follows up with a super chat. Chess lol, it's a poison pill Halo. Yeah, indeed. It kind of feels like it. And he continues and says, let's all agree Halo Infinite is an amazing game. It's just missing content. Yeah. I do agree. Again, the core gameplay mechanics were fantastic. It just didn't work out as a games as a service title. I think that's the biggest problem. All right, but let's get into some topics, guys. We will talk today about the Microsoft layoffs, of course, some Starfield rumors, Xbox in the second half. We got some rumors there. The Ubisoft Chaos. I know your favorite company, Jez. Scalebound, Quantum Break, a lot of other things. But first, guys, the sundown of Stadia. Stadia has officially shut down. Yesterday they closed it down for good. So now all there's left is Luna, basically, and of course Nvidia.
I couldn't believe when they posted on, like, Stadia posted on Twitter that they'd been going since 2019. I was like, they've been going for 3 years? I was like,
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
Have you ever played
feel like it's been
Stadia?
going for 3 years.
Yes.
I have tried Stadia, but it was just like there's no games. So
Yeah.
I looked away, never came back. Stadia had no games. You know,
That's
just nothing
so
to play
true.
there.
Yeah. That's so true. Yeah. All right. Of course, Stadia is not the main topic. We want to talk about what happened at Microsoft. Microsoft confirmed that they will lay off 10,000 employees. Gaming is impacted as well. Satya had to say the following: "We are living through times of significant change, and as I met with customers and partners, a few things are clear. First, as we saw customers accelerate their digital spend during the pandemic, we are now seeing them optimize their digital spend to do more with less, and hence the layoffs." So we know by now that Bethesda has been affected as well, the Coalition, and especially 343. At 343, Joseph Staten actually left as well. It's not that he got laid off. He's rejoining the Xbox publishing arm. But overall, we see on Twitter a lot of people come out. And I want to and talk about this, and I want to say one thing that a lot of people seem to forget. We're talking here about real people that lost their job, and they probably have mouths to feed and bills to pay. And so I definitely want to respect everyone to respect that, and it's not something to make fun of people, but we have also seen a lot of developers come out and talk about this. So, Jez, what do you make of these layoffs, especially with respect, of course, here to the Xbox division?
Yeah, it's unsurprising, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of figured this was going to happen, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if there's another a big round of layoffs in the summer. You know, it's shareholder capitalism at the end of the day. The whole world is expected to head into recession this year.
Yeah.
You know, as inflation from the energy crisis, thanks Russia, and all the quantitative easing from the pandemic, the loans coming home to roost, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. All this stuff is sort of coalescing to make this sort of horrible economic storm that's going to impact everything. Tech stocks always get battered during recessions because they make luxury goods at the end of the day. Yeah. They make luxury goods not just for consumers, but also businesses. And everyone who needed a laptop or a PC or a headset or a whatever, they bought them during the pandemic. No one's buying a PC this year. No one's buying anything this year. It's batten down the hatches and save because everything's more expensive. Food's more expensive. Distribution's more expensive, energy's more expensive. You know, we had the lovely gas crisis in Germany, which, you know, very, very cold in December. My girlfriend's mom wouldn't let us turn the heating on. So I was sitting there like with doing a podcast with a blanket around my shoulders, like, oh my God, it's so cold. You know, so we, you know, it's all this stuff coalescing to, you know, make a bad situation worse at the end of the day. Microsoft's cutting 5% of its global workforce, and 5% doesn't sound like a lot, but that represents 10,000 individuals, like you say, with families, with bills to pay, with hopes and dreams, who are now like, living in anxiety about what comes next, and the layoffs are just brutal. They're across all disciplines, all departments, whether it's Xbox, HoloLens, Surface. Yeah. The only department we heard that didn't really get hit that hard was Azure, as you might expect.
Sure.
So, but 343 has been, notably impacted. I think like 60 employees from 343, which is a small part of the 10,000 that have been laid off. But it's sort of like it's very visible because the 343 has a microscope on it right now. Halo has a microscope,
Indeed.
and Xbox has a microscope on it. There are 10,000 employees at Xbox alone, and 60 out of 10,000 isn't a lot. But like you say, it's 60 individuals, humans with big problem now. I wrote today about some people are facing being deported because they're on American visas which require to have ongoing employment.
Yes.
And if they haven't got employment, then they face the fear of being deported after 60 days. So it's an awful situation, but it's shareholder capitalism. They make these kind of decisions in the view of what's going to happen in the next quarter and the quarter after that. So in the next quarter, they're expecting the world economy to be fucked, basically. Yeah. Am I allowed to swear on this podcast? I hope so. But they're expecting the economy to be as messed up. And I know like a lot of European economies are expecting to go into recession. And America's supposed to have a mild recession, whatever that means. Britain's supposed to have a very scary, nasty recession, which is going to be very fun. But again, Britain's one of Microsoft's key markets, so it's going to be brutal. But to that end, they're sort of reprioritizing around where they can make money, and Halo probably ain't a thing that can make money on. God knows how much money's been wasted by 343 over the years, not because of the developers, but because of awful mismanagement, as some 343 past and present staff noted on Twitter this week. I think the chap from Respawn who used to work at 343, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he went out to bat for 343 and it was just like, incompetent leadership, many of whom are no longer at the company, but what can you make of it, really? It just sucks. It just plain sucks. There's nothing else to say about it, really. It just sucks. The reason these things happen is because publicly traded companies have to maintain an operating margin so they can, take some of them profits and give them to shareholders as dividends. And Microsoft pays dividends to its shareholders, to the tune of however many billions of dollars. And they want shareholders who own the company technically to be reassured that their dividends are still going to come through, which means the easiest way you can make savings is cut costs, and the biggest costs is labor. Median salary at Microsoft is $150,000. I mean, that's probably inflated by some employees who are on millions, millions of dollars, but a lot of the people who were laid off were veterans. We've seen people with decades worth of tenure at Microsoft laid off unexpectedly. Across all disciplines. So it just sucks. And there are more layoffs coming out. Amazon's doing layoffs. Like, even GameSpot just announced it's doing layoffs on Twitter as we've been doing the show. Like, my company's doing layoffs.
Even Sony laid off people last year. I
expect Sony will be joining layoff train this year as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Activision Blizzard lays people off as well. Although maybe they're in a bit of a different situation because they're expecting to be bought out. Yeah. So that's where the shareholders get their return on that investment. Yeah. But Ubisoft, EA.
Yeah, Ubisoft is
They'll
probably
probably
gonna
have
be the
those.
next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you say, sad times for those, and I do hope that they will find soon another job. At least in general, the gaming industry always says it's hard to find proper talent. So I'm rooting for them that they will find positions again. So yeah, Dutch, what do you think? What's happening there?
Yeah, I mean, as Jez mentioned there, it's one of them things like every industry, especially right now with the world in recession. And I know a lot of countries are kind of saying, "Oh, we're going to be in a recession." We are in a recession. It's just a very slow coaching moment up until the point where they eventually admit we're in a recession. We're in a recession. It's going to be a number of years until we get out this recession. As we all infamously know, the 2008 one lasted at least 4 years until it started to creep back up and recover. But again, in my industry, we had a big round of layoffs industry-wide, massive round of layoffs industry-wide. Last year, of course, I work in corporate energy. So naturally, last year when everything went completely to shit with the war and things like that, and prices literally, if people thought residential pricing for energy was bad, and this is one thing that will also look at the likes of Microsoft, etc. When you're talking about corporate pricing, like you're talking double, triple the amount that residents are paying for their energy, which is literally crippling businesses as we speak.
Yeah.
When people are used to talking about like 30, 40 pence or 40, 50 cents a unit for their electricity in the house, we're talking upwards of £1 or like a euro for energy for businesses at the tail end of last year. And obviously, what could they do? It was nothing but we have to shoulder this burden or fold. A lot of businesses folded, and a lot of businesses will continue to fold this year because of that, just because of that. And again, you have to think at large companies like Microsoft, etc. They have to streamline, they have to be efficient, and they've got to make, as Jez pointed out, they have to focus on the areas that make money. And those, and literally just, and it's a brutal world, but this goes for it's not just the tech industry, although the tech industry is getting hit hard right now, but it goes for every industry where you have to streamline, you have to make sure you have the most profitable staff and areas at full head count and working, and those areas that aren't or do not have much work to go at, or there isn't much that you can do in that area to make money, so you don't need as many people in that area anymore. Those have to be streamlined. It's just business. It's a horrible realization of kind of what the businesses does. But for Microsoft themselves, it's also one of these, and the tech industry, to be honest, because they were all doing exactly the same thing, and it's the peaks and troughs of the economy. Of course, we went through the phase of trying to come out of COVID, everyone back to the office, everyone either needing jobs or looking for work again. The companies kind of trying to prioritize on that and essentially, let's like rapid increase these staff headcounts. Let's rapid employ. Amazon did it. Microsoft between 2021 and 2022 employed 50,000 new staff. In the last, I think it's in the last maybe since 2019, I think they've employed 80,000 new employees. It's a significant increase on headcount. So a decrease, to be honest, and I said this kind of yesterday as well, a decrease of only 5% after a rapid increase of, like I say, 50,000 employees, to me it could have been far worse. It could have been far worse, to be honest, I think, for Microsoft. It's never nice hearing 10,000 people being let go. But I think if you have a look at the background scenarios for a lot of these departments where they've had a lot of headcounts, and Jez kind of hit the nail on the head there with the profitability on Halo. It wasn't a profitable games as a service game. Like in that sense, it doesn't have a marketplace that is doing anything. If you have a look at Sea of Thieves, it's filled to the brim with stuff that people can buy that is like cosmetically entertaining. Like you've got awesome ship sets, you've got loads of costumes, you've got loads of animals and skeleton costumes and blah 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 blah, and it just goes on forever. And they're always adding new things. If you have a look at Fortnite, every month and every week they've got new things rotating in. If you look at any profitable games as a service games that make sense, there's always new content coming out every week, whether that's cosmetic, whether it's a new quest, whatever it is, something's happening. And Halo, as a games as a service game, has ultimately failed. It is not, and to be fair, 60, they've went from, is it 350 to 290, or is it, I think so, head count, or is it a little bit higher than that?
I think it was a little higher.
450, sorry. It was 450
Yeah.
down to 390. 450 staff down to 390. So they have shaved off a large chunk. The section of that actually was more, from what we heard, more to do with the campaign side of things, kind of just keeping the core multiplayer team. Anybody who's working on the campaign essentially is just ditch that. We're going to focus on the multiplayer, keep that going. But it's the same across all of Microsoft. HoloLens in itself lost its government contract, got its government contract temporarily back whilst they made a revision to the units that they were making. But even that hasn't been without its flaws. And of course, that's a lot of people working on a very expensive bit of technology. So naturally, there was going to be losses there. And again, when you're focusing like Microsoft is, they're investing heavily in AI and autonomy. A lot of these kind of scripting and technical rules and things like that can be streamlined through the use of AI. So it's about where you can maximize profits with a much smaller headcount and be a little bit more efficient in the process. So you get things done quicker, a lot less mistakes because things are automated. It's just it is horrible to talk about. It's horrible to kind of talk about staff in that sense, but it's just corporate business. Unfortunately, it's going to happen. There's a lot of people on the line. The one aspect that I don't like about it is either some ex-developers using this as a way to kind of white knight against companies, etc. I think they should refrain potentially at the moment from slandering Microsoft openly. I don't think that's going to benefit anybody. I understand if you've got an opinion about your ex-developer or a company you've worked at before, but I don't think publicly slandering them is doing anybody any favors. I think it's good to be able to tell this to certain people that you might know or in private to other people. But at the moment, when people are losing their jobs and potentially looking for other jobs, I don't think it's benefiting the situation. Yes, it gives us talking points on podcasts and gives, of course, news articles and things a reason to be there. But from a beneficial perspective for those who have lost their jobs, they don't want to sit there and just hear about how bad their ex-employer is. They want to focus on finding a new job. Thankfully, I've seen quite a few people, both Bungie and people still working at 343, saying, listen, if anybody across the industry that I'm connected with has any job roles, contact me. And I've seen loads of people, including Bungie, etc., saying, we've got openings across the board. So there's going to be, I think, hopefully, the staff that have been let go at 343, at Bethesda, etc., I think it's maybe in the hundreds as opposed to the wider economics of...
like Jez said, like relatively small part when compared to...
I think the issue with the engineering side of things is Amazon have let go of 18,000.
Yeah.
Microsoft have let go of 10,000, of which about 1,000, maybe even less than that, are developers, which can probably find roles relatively quickly. I think the engineers are going to be the ones that are stuck without work for a significant period of time, and that's going to be hard because right now the market will be flooded because the tech industry is going in that direction.
Through that phase,
probably now, in the space of a few months, upwards of 40,000 engineers jobless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, God, it's a different situation.
Let's change the topic and get to something a little bit more exciting. I don't know how to bring that ball around otherwise. Let's talk about Starfield, because as people know, I'm super excited for the game. I think we all are. There have been a couple of rumors of stuff about Starfield being delayed into the second half of the year, but we hear those rumors all the time. One interesting thing happened at over on Instagram. The official Bethesda account from Latin America posted something that the dedicated Starfield event and the release date for the game will be revealed very soon. So now we have the insider. We have someone who might have an idea about this. Jez,
Who's that?
I don't know, Dutch. We have Dutch here. Nah, kidding. No, like,
I'm the insider. Let's go.
I'm honestly I've been pretty upfront about the fact that I don't really have Bethesda sources generally. So when it comes to Bethesda stuff, I'm generally in the dark. To be completely honest, and I don't mind that because I like being surprised as well sometimes. But I've been on the record though of saying that I think Starfield is probably delayed to later on, out beyond June. I've got a bet with Rand, my podcast buddy.
I listened to that episode. Yeah,
yeah. I got a bet with him that it'll be delayed beyond June for $10. So we'll see who ends up being right in the end.
Yeah, Dutch and I, we have something similar about Forza. So,
right. What's that bet?
Yeah, I'm of the firm belief that we won't see Forza in the first half of this year.
We will.
Yeah.
We will.
We talk about this in every podcast, but just you remember that.
Forward to my beer. Thank you.
Yeah. We bet our bet is about the first who buys the first round at Gamescom. So. But I think it was in October or so last year when Turn 10 came out, and they talked about that the game will go into the polishing phase in early 23. So that didn't sound to me like, okay, we're ready for a spring release. But hopefully I'm gonna be surprised. But yeah, I just have the feeling that this is gonna be pushed out. But we will find out next week.
Yes.
But Starfield, do you think that this dedicated event, would that make sense? I mean, since we have the Developer Direct next week, to make the Starfield event like what the official Bethesda account said, posted on Instagram, soon is for me, I don't know, like the next 3-4 weeks or so. You think that makes sense, or just space them a bit more out?
I don't know. I've heard some rumors about when this so-called Bethesda event is going to drop, and some people have said it could be as far out as like May, closer to E3 and stuff like that. But I honestly don't know. I don't have a single hint or whatever as to when this could be. I mean, Rand made the point on Xbox 2 when he said that they didn't want Starfield to be here because it would have overshadowed the other games probably. Because Starfield is going to be it's literally on a galactic scope compared to some of the other games that Xbox has coming. And it's kind of unfair to put Starfield's reveal on the same stage as Redfall and stuff like that, which just simply don't have the same budgetary. They're not in the same budgetary sphere. So
Starfield is, I said this before, Starfield is gonna be like, I think Xbox biggest release in like maybe even forever, like definitely on Halo 3 kind of level. The makers of Skyrim with their brand new IP, this is massive. This is absolutely massive.
It will be massive. It's going to be a big deal. It's going to be an event in gaming. It's going to be Skyrim sort of level of longevity with the mods and stuff that people do to keep that game ticking over time. It's going to be a big deal. And Microsoft absolutely needs to get it right, which is why I think it could be delayed. It's not going to be like a ship it and we'll sort it out later. Starfield, there was articles last week where people had noticed that Starfield had replaced Master Chief on the boxes of Xbox Series X consoles.
Yeah.
They're gonna want Starfield to be the new mascot of the brand, the new brand ambassador in a world where Master Chief has, basically shit the bed. The TV show was not great and didn't review well, and both normies and core fans alike just didn't really care for it much. And and then Halo, the whole mess that is Halo Infinite's live service. So it's just sort of like every possible thing that could go wrong with Halo has gone wrong over the years. The Master Chief Collection launched in a mess, and people don't remember the fact that they've turned it around. They remember the mess that it was in, and now they're going to remember the mess Halo Infinite's been in. It's never smooth sailing with Halo. Since 343, it's just never been smooth sailing. Halo 5 was middling as well.
Everyone was
Halo
complaining
4
about the
was
campaign there.
Yeah. It's been rough, man, to be a Halo fan. I'm glad I'm not one. But I know what suffering feels like because I've been a Warcraft fan for a long time.
And that game has also gone through its ups and downs.
Yes, it has.
Indeed. Yeah, so we shall see about Starfield. I know Chess has also the feeling like second half. I don't know. When Bethesda or Todd Howard announced that release date of November 11th, I think they were of the firm belief that they can hit that target. And obviously, Bethesda games are famous for their bugs, Bugthesda and everything. And obviously, Microsoft knows about the importance of Starfield and that this really needs to deliver. So when they delayed the game and suggested that, okay, this is gonna come out now in the next 12 months.
I think, I think we're all in the firm agreement here that the only reason that game was delayed was because Microsoft told them to. It was a Bethesda case where they showed them the game and they were like, "We are ready for 11th of November," and Microsoft looked at it and went, "You're not. That's not ready for 11th of November. I know you were confident, but we're not. So that you've got another 12 months to get that chip shape. We'll decide close at the time when it's coming out." I think having it as a brand ambassador though isn't the problem. And this is the thing that Xbox has got now going forward. Is I absolutely agree. Halo right now, unfortunately, has got to the point where it isn't a wise ambassador of Xbox. It hasn't hit the mark with the current generation of players, and this is the issue we've got. Like, we come at it from a perspective of when we were younger and we first picked up Xbox and we first started playing Halo, etc. So we have that nostalgic feeling about it. But any new player coming to the Xbox for the first time just see yet another shooter. It doesn't offer anything other than any other shooter has, and to be fair, every other shooter has more content. So to that modern player, to that new entry into the game, it's not franchise, it's not your pillar poster boy, should we say. And another thing is as well is we have the coalition intentionally taking a lot of time to get their eggs in their or whatever gears going forward. Would Marcus Phoenix or Gears be the new poster boy going forward? Will it be Senua?
I've been in a salary for years. I don't know if I'd do this paper article. That would be so stressful.
Hello,
Boxy. What happened?
I don't know. The internet are we still live?
It's there, but it's not. If that makes sense. So it is live. Yeah, there we go. There we go. You're back. You need to set that up again.
There we go. Okay. Damn it. I'm not sure what happened. The internet had a hiccup. guys, I don't know what's wrong today with everything. First restart of entirely muted. Now the internet is gone. So apologies for that. But I hope that we can now continue with everything and that it stays smooth. So
Yeah.
okay.
Where I was up to anyway. Poster child. Xbox doesn't have one.
It's a good
This
point.
is the thing. These are the thing going forward. And yes, Starfield make absolute sense for marketing purposes. Put that all over the box. We had Halo's release. Halo's been out for a while now. It's no longer relevant in the conversation. It's not. It's not gaining the players. It's not doing anything else. So going forward, of course, naturally, the biggest release in Bethesda for the last 2 decades, you're going to put that on the box. You're going to shout and scream from the rooftops that thing's coming out. You're going to makers of Skyrim, makers of Fallout, makers of course, you're going to shout that everywhere. It absolutely makes sense. But going forward, I think Xbox really need to think about who their poster children are, essentially. Is it going to be Senua?
It's a good question.
Is it going to be Marcus?
Senua, Jez, what do you think? What could we know? Starfield,
Doom guy, of course.
Poster child.
Naturally.
I don't know. It's hard to say, really.
Maybe Perfect Dark with Joanna Dark.
I can't see that happening. It'd probably end up being Starfield. Like some of the if they have some like iconography from Starfield that really cuts through and becomes like the image that makes you think of Starfield. I don't know if we've got there yet, but like if I see, you know, there's certain images from Fallout New Vegas that just make you think Fallout New Vegas, you know. You see like the Brotherhood of Steel armor, you just think of Fallout, that kind of thing.
Yeah, every time I think of
it's going
Fallout,
to be Bethesda.
I just think Pip-Boy as soon as I think of Fallout. Yeah.
As soon as Bethesda starts putting its mark on Xbox, whether it's Fallout, whether it's Starfield, whether it's Elder Scrolls, no other studio is going to even come close, I think. You know, Bethesda, I mean, even Activision Blizzard, you know, I say this, you know, wholeheartedly as a avowed Blizzard fanboy. I really think Todd Howard makes the best games in the world, you know.
Yeah.
And Fallout and Skyrim are events in gaming. They're on another level. They're kind of up there with Minecraft and
indeed,
you know, the kind of legendary games that define our industry. Oh well, not my industry, but the industry that I cover. You know, and I think it's going to be Bethesda. People won't even remember Halo. It'll just be like, you know. Yeah, sure, Grandpa. There was a game called Halo. You know, the kids playing Starfield 3 or whatever. And back in my day, the big sci-fi game was Halo. but no, I don't know. I think it's going to be something out of Bethesda. I mean, if they can, I would have thought it'd be Fallout. You know, but where is Fallout? You know, they don't have a studio to make it, which is absurd. You know, but. Yeah, it's. I suppose, like you could say, Sony. I would say Sony almost has multiple mascots. You know.
Yeah, they do.
Do you think of God of War, Last of Us,
Spider-Man, even
Spider-Man? They can pick and choose. You know, Sony like delivers consistently games that seem to delight people, whereas Xbox most recently just hasn't been able to do that. But I think a studio that's going to turn the tide is going to be Bethesda, I think Starfield. That's why it's crucial that Starfield launches
in a good
as
state
good as it possibly can be.
Yeah, true. That's so true. So maybe they delay Starfield into the second half. But what else?
I can't see it happening. I just can't. I can't see it happening. I think
it's tough for me to honestly, like the shitstorm.
I think the reason I say that primarily is that would they put out an article, and this is going on Developer Direct as well as having the Starfield show separately, would they put out that article, that blog post stipulating games coming out in the next few months, if these weren't games coming out in the next few months?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Microsoft this late in the day in January would say these games are coming out in the next couple of months and then not have these games released in the next cut. That's pretty much shooting yourself in the foot at that point. I can understand when they said
the only
this game's
way.
coming out.
Yeah, but they would never ever come out right now and say, okay, we are gonna launch Starfield in, I don't know, September or October or whenever. What they have to do first is bring out some games. So if there is a delay, it's gonna be after Redfall and Forza have been released, because otherwise, the public outcry, man, the public outcry. I can already hear that. So, yeah, maybe it's second half, maybe not. But what do you guys think? What else will Xbox bring in the second half? We have now the Developer Direct coming next week. We will get the release dates for Minecraft Legends, Redfall, Forza. At least Xbox Wire Germany confirmed that. They were the only one in their Wire article that actually said, and we're gonna announce the release dates. And every, like in the US Xbox Wire article, the release dates were not mentioned. But yeah, it would be stupid not to use the stage to announce the release date. So yeah, what else do we get in the second half this year is the question. And Jess, I would love to hear your guesstimations for the second half, because there's a lot of stuff rumored about Hellblade 2.
It's not going to be Avowed.
Now, Jez, last time I heard you speaking about Avowed, you said that looked good and that was going well. So I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts on Avowed.
I think they've expanded the scope of Avowed. I think they've looked at Avowed and thought, we've got something really special here. Because Obsidian was one department at Microsoft that didn't have any layoffs. So I've confirmed.
Last week we had ACG tweeting out about him having a good source on Avowed having co-op elements. So
so I'm not sure about that. I suppose if his source is solid, then you can say yeah. But I did mention I think I mentioned on Xbox 2 that I'd heard that at least at one point, the game was aiming to have co-op. That was a long time ago. And the way I'd heard about the co-op was in the context of them looking for things to cut to bring the game into focus. But maybe they managed to not cut co-op.
Yeah.
So it was definitely in consideration. But, like I said on the show on the Xbox 2 before, like Pillars of Eternity, which is the game franchise that Avowed is based in, is based on Dungeons and Dragons, and Dungeons and Dragons is the ultimate co-op experience, So, just speaking from a point of the game's DNA, co-op makes complete sense for this kind of game.
Absolutely.
I would have thought, it works in Divinity: Original Sin and other games that Larian are making. So,
well, now you could argue, of course, Pillars. I love Pillars, but it's. At least it looks like a completely different game, even though they are both playing in Eora. So it's more like a Skyrim-esque type of game, from what we hear when you've seen it. So
it's a first person game. It looks like I described it as the Outer Worlds Skyrim.
Yeah,
because it looks like the Outer Worlds. It's got that vibrant sort of realistic but also very colorful stylized art, which I suppose allows them to iterate the world more quickly than something more fully photorealistic. But this is footage now that's been 3 years old, so like based on when I saw the game to what it looks like now could be completely different. It could be further approaching photorealism, and maybe some of the graphics I saw was just placeholder graphics from recycled assets in the Outer World. Don't know. There's the thing with in development footage that is leaked to you. There's a lot of context missing, which is part of the reason why I never posted it, because I didn't have the context to present it in an accurate light. At the end of the day. So like the only takeaways I got from it really was like, how does it look mechanically? And it looked pretty damn good. You know, it looked fun even, even in its sort of, you know, prototypical state. But yeah, Avowed for this year, I would be shocked if Avowed launches this year. I think Avowed is next year. I think we'll see Avowed this year revealed.
Okay.
But I don't think it launches this year. As for what I do think launches this year, I think the big game for the second half of the year is going to be Starfield.
You're killing me. You're killing me.
So, yeah, I think we could get one of the smaller indie projects this year. Like Microsoft's working with Stoic on a game called The Wandering Tower, which hasn't even been announced yet. But they didn't do a very good job of keeping it secret, frankly. But Wandering Tower is something that there's been in development for quite a while. But it's, you know, it's a smaller team, but it's a very ambitious kind of game for a team of that size. I'm kind of expecting it to be sort of similar to the Cult of the Lamb in terms of scale, but I could be completely wrong. It could be a bigger game, could be a smaller game, I guess. But I think it, you know, it's going to be that kind of indie hit, exclusive to Xbox. But it's meant to be like persistently online. Like, I'm sure I read that it had social hubs and stuff like that, connected social hubs. So maybe it's a bigger game than I'm expecting. I don't know. But again, a lot of context missing here. All we know really is that the game exists, and it's been in development for a long time. So maybe The Wandering Tower is released and announced, and then releases towards the end of this year. Maybe.
What about Contraband?
I don't expect Hellblade. No, and Contraband is. I've heard Contraband is struggled a bit to find the meat. Announced it too early probably, but I don't think Contraband launches this year. I don't think Hellblade or Avowed launches this year. I think Hellblade and Avowed launch next year. I wouldn't be surprised if Contraband launches even later than that. But I honestly don't know. I'm pretty in the dark about some of these games at the minute. So a lot of it's all just pure guesswork, really. Yeah. Pure guesswork for me at the minute. Maybe Jeff Grubb knows better. Go on,
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, we will probably find out at E3. Do you think they're gonna keep to that like 12-month format at E3 this year?
I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they ditch that format because it's quite restrictive and it'll be redundant. If Starfield gets delayed, it'll be like, well, 12 months and then 12 months and then Starfield's delayed. So basically, when you say 12 months, you don't actually mean it. And like, unless you really mean 12 months, then the format doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of in this sort of environment of things being delayed. I don't know if they'll do the 12-month format again. But who knows? Well, I guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah, who knows? Dutch, I want to hear your thoughts in a second. Give me a second and briefly read a super chat that came in from Sour Blow. Thank you so much. He says, Arthur's Manethiel RPG Witcher 3 style. Oh, yeah.
Damn. That'd be interesting.
Blizzard fans know what we talk about. I think he appeared first. Was it Warcraft 2 or 3? I can't remember when he appeared first. So that would be awesome, man. Would be awesome. So Dutch, what do you think? Will Microsoft continue with that 12-month format?
I'm going to jump on what's releasing the latter in this year first.
Sure.
Can't predict Jez's guesstimates. I think Starfield hits this first half. Damn it! But I also think there is a possibility that Hellblade hits this year. However, I don't know what will go alongside it for the latter half. I also agree. I don't think Avowed makes this year. Contraband, again, we haven't seen anything of it, so it's impossible to say that it's going to hit this year because we don't know. We actually don't know what it is really right now. We've not seen anything of it, so it's hard to judge a game and when it might release based on a very quick CGI splash screen, essentially. I don't think Contraband, and I think it's probably right there. We've seen that little of it. It is probably latter 24, if not maybe it's 25 or something like that. But no, I think second half it'll be Hellblade, but likely, as probably Jez mentioned, some of the smaller titles to go alongside it, like in little India developments or maybe even smaller projects from some of the studios or something that we haven't seen yet. But I think there's only going to be one big release the latter part of 23, but that's not a bad thing considering the start they would have had. Obviously, if Forza, Redfall, Starfield, Minecraft Legends has come out in the first half, you finish it off with Hellblade at the very tail end, but in between that you've got some of your AA, triple indie or indie titles coming out there as well that are exclusive to the platform. Yeah, it's a good all-round year, to be honest. But yeah, I don't. In terms of the E3 thing, we said it's well. It only makes sense to do 12-month if at the end of the 12-month section of the show you then have, right, let's have a look at some of the things that we're working on in the future and have like a little 10-15 minute segment that is dedicated to just projects that are far out that you don't need any other info on. Just like, here's some excitement to have to look forward to in the future. So we already know all these key releases we're getting within 12 months, but then at the very end of the show, you get these surprises of what the teams are working on. I think that is the only time a 12-month format would realistically work. Last year, the reason it didn't work for me personally was that the latter half, what we realized immediately after the show was that there was nothing coming in the first 6 months of the 12-month.
Yeah.
Nothing, zero from first party. There was nothing. It was just Game Pass titles.
Pentiment. Okay.
And Pentiment, which of course it did well in the grand scheme of things, but in terms of the wider scale community, it didn't hit it off. For them, it was just, again, it's an uber niche title. As successful as it was uber niche. So then they had this case of, right, okay, well then the next 6 months, which is technically the only part of that made a sense for the rest of us, is games that we're now only starting to learn the release dates for on the 25th onwards. So yeah, it doesn't make sense on let's only do 12-month because that is unbelievably restrictive. And then for things like developer directs, the only games you're going to be able to talk about on these developer directs are the games coming within the next 12 months. Whereas I think what we've seen from the likes of Ninja Theory, from the likes of Bethesda with Starfield, and other studios, is they already do their own forms of blogs or vlogs dictating how development processes work and things like that. And it's been really insightful to see those processes and how they create things. And developer directs, I think, when you have a little bit wider array, even if you're doing like a 2-year view, I think that's a little bit more of an open perspective there. Then at least you've got a few more of those teams you can include in some of these developer directs for going forwards. Okay, let's have a look at what these guys are working on and how that's coming along.
Interesting.
And you're then not restrictive to only having developer directs when you've got release dates to announce.
For the next couple of weeks or months. Interesting. Exactly. I mean, like studios like Ninja Theory, they have been doing their development diaries on their own. That have been very insightful. But extending, of course, the time frame for a developer direct is an interesting thought, man. We shall see next week. We talk about E3 now, but there's an Xbox thing coming next week, and I said this, I think, on the last show. With this one, so far, they hit it right out of the gate. Like, short, condensed format, like setting expectations, acknowledging Starfield not being there up front really helps. and finally they get rid of the personalities, like the moderators. So far, I'm pretty excited. We know about the 4 games being there: Minecraft Legends, Redfall's Forza, and Elder Scrolls Online. You think they're gonna have one or surprise something we don't expect, or is it just really gonna be that what we know already?
Sorry.
I think I was going to say as well on the article, because if you're reading the article itself,
Yeah.
The article itself is kind of open to. I'm just going to bring it up. Actually, developer direct. It's kind of open to interpret. It's weird because it is open to interpretation. So what they've said essentially is presented by the game creators themselves from Xbox Music, including Arcane, Mojang, Turn 10, and ZeniMax. The developer will focus on big features, extended gameplay showcase, and the latest info for Xbox games launching in the next few months, including Elder Scrolls, Forza, Minecraft, Redfall. So that would say that they have those there, but they also have other titles.
That's a fair point. What do you think, Jez? Will we see something that they haven't announced?
I know that there are a few floating code names I've got which I don't have projects attached to. And it's kind of like, what the hell is that? Driving me mad, keeping me awake at night, staring into the full moon, wondering, what are you? But yeah, maybe some of those get revealed this year. Microsoft's always got things in the pipeline. They have to have a constant flow of content coming. You know, there's stuff that we know about, which hasn't been revealed, like Project Swerte from Certain Affinity, Brass Lion Entertainment's Wu-Tang Clan game.
The Wu-Tang.
And Compulsion, and there's a bunch of stuff they could show off.
Yeah.
You know, they've got a load of bullets in the chamber, and now that we're through the pandemic, you'd hope that some of the plans they were trying to put in place when Phil finally got the budget that he needed, hopefully some of those plans can get going again, the ball can get rolling, we start seeing this steady cadence of content which we've been dying Xbox to achieve for 10 years or more at this point.
Yeah.
So, but I have no idea what it'd be. Just
you think so what crossed my mind is, of course, like we have a bunch of really good looking indie games coming, also early 23, that will either be Xbox exclusive or at least Game Pass Day 1 launches, like Benedict Fox, The Last Case of Benedict Fox, Flintlock, or even Hollow Knight Silksong. Do you expect them to announce at least some dates for those games as well? Or are they going to focus on these 4 major titles?
I think personally, obviously the main focus will be those titles. But I think as ESO themselves have already confirmed, the actual chunk of their showcase is going to be on a showcase after the showcase. So they're going to have their own as well, much like Starfield. So they're saying,
I mean, for Elder Scrolls, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Come on, the game is out for many years, and it's going to be an expansion. Yeah. Exciting. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
You've got a 45-minute show. Maybe 30, half an hour of that is going to be dedicated to the 3 big releases, which is Redfall, Forza, Minecraft Legends. You're going to have a very small chunk that's going to show off essentially like a trailer, maybe it's a little blurb for a couple of minutes for ESO. And then they'll say, okay, after the show, of course, you want to tune in to learn more about the next expansion and what we're doing with ESO, then watch us there. And then probably about 10 to 15 minutes, maybe talking about what else is there. And I think it probably would make sense talking about the Game Pass titles, because the Game Pass titles, again, they mentioned coming within the first 12 months. Would mean that they would have to, again, work with these teams to talk about them. So we want to know, again, I doubt we're going to get Stalker's official release, but they have been a little bit more talkative recently, including some beautiful screenshots today.
The game looks so good.
Yeah. You just never know about Stalker. It could make it the first half. If it does, absolutely congratulations to them for getting it out in that time. But again, no pressure.
Didn't
Go on.
one of the lead developers, can't remember his name, last year, towards the end of last year, come out and debunk some of these rumors that it has been delayed indefinitely and that it's still targeting or releasing
He said
in the
it was
first
targeting
half?
23, but he didn't stipulate when in 23.
Okay.
So we don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah. But agree with the likes of your Flintlock Siege of Dawn, etc., which is coming to Game Pass, and your Silk Song, which has obviously been delayed multiple times.
I won't
but
be seen
again,
for a while when that game comes out.
But I think absolutely. And this again, we've mentioned it before, but it could be a good opportunity to eventually talk about the family pass for Game Pass, the friends and family thing. I think that would be a good opportunity to kind of finish the show on, and you can play all these games in Game Pass Friends and Family, which is available starting February at this price.
What do you think,
it's a
Jez?
good opportunity to kind of finish on that.
Yeah, true, absolutely. You're muted. Wait.
Sorry, what was the question?
Will we see some of the smaller indie games like Flintlock or I don't know, Hollow Knight, Last Case of Benedict Fox, and get some release dates for those as well during the developer direct? Or
I do know there are some surprises coming to development direct which they never mentioned in their blog post. So it's entirely possible that there could be more to the show than meets the eye, and they just sort of like they want to over deliver so that we remember that this show was actually way cooler than I expected. So yeah, I think it is possible that we could get some more concrete information on these upcoming idea Xbox games, but don't know for sure.
Yeah, let's see. Less than a week away, and it's gonna be exciting. I can't wait because again, like the way how they announced it and described the show, it's absolutely my jam, and I cannot wait. I really cannot wait. One thing I've seen people talk about on the social channels is that apparently Ubisoft Plus is close. Do we expect that to be there to at the show to some degree at least?
I'm not sure. It's hard to say. Maybe they'll do it in a platform update or something. But the developer direct says to me that this is focusing on game developers.
Yeah.
So maybe oftentimes what Microsoft does is when they've got a showcase, they'll do almost like daily blasts of positive news, and then ramp up to the GDCs coming up. So maybe they do a developer direct tie into GDC as well, build up the brand of developer direct. I don't know. I suspect we'll see it announced soon, since it does seem to be appearing on the web and in Microsoft systems. So, also the Xbox Game Pass Family Plan as well. That seems to be gradually making appearances on the web and in other places. So maybe that's another positive news beat they announce in tandem with the developer direct.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see.
Interesting. Yeah. Again, less than a week. Gonna be interesting week next week. Since we talked about or mentioned Ubisoft, a couple of things happened this week over at Ubisoft. And I'm not talking about the stock price, which absolutely tanked. They are on a ultra record low. So who knows if they look to be bought? Now is the time. They've never been that cheap. So actually, I'm thinking of investing in Ubisoft stock. They have to go.
I just don't think anyone wants that headache.
Yeah, that's just what it is. So last week, Yves Guillemot, I hope that's the way to pronounce it, has, well, more or less put the ball in the part of the developers said now it's your job to course correct the ship and everything. And this week in France, the union, the Ubisoft, the Paris Workers Union, called out for the staff to go on strike. They said on several occasions, Mr. Guimont is trying to shift the blame once again onto the employees. And they continued that he expects them to be mobilized, to give it their all, to be as efficient and lean as possible. And these words usually mean overtime, managerial pressure, or burnout. And that's why they called upon the employees to go on strike. And Yves Guillemot replied, and kind of apparently, and this is now only, of course, to reports from several media sites that he more or less, apologized to them and said that it's, of course, a union. Success story for all. He said, "This is a collective journey that starts, of course, with myself and with the leadership team to create the condition for all of us to succeed together." So, over there at Ubisoft, a lot of things don't go as well as they probably hope to. Jez, I know you're not the biggest Ubisoft fan these days. So what do you think is happening over there?
I mean, it's Ubisoft's reaping what it sowed, and it's not the developers' fault because they make technically division look stunning, plays really well, feels great.
Yeah.
It's the creative direction at a higher level, what seems to be just completely gone out the window, where Ubisoft's just been like trend chasing and building games to a metric rather than building games to what represents an artist's vision, I think, is the issue here. So they design their games for player retention rather than earning player retention through the medium of fun.
Yeah, which
is typically how games are supposed to be made. They've been doing that repeatedly for years and years and years and years and years. And this is that mentality, the corporate mentality, really catching up with Ubisoft now, and they had 12 battle royales in development.
That's crazy,
according to Tom Henderson, and I totally believe it. Because they've showed off a lot of them, and they've shown repeatedly that they will chase trends,
rather than to set them themselves.
To set themselves, and it doesn't. They saw what Epic Games did by pivoting Fortnite really hard into PUBG and thought, oh, we can do that. But I think in the history of the entire industry, there's not many situations where a company has been able to pull that off. Epic Games is basically the only one, and it looked out so hard.
Yeah.
Got so damn lucky. Nobody at Epic Games came up with a battle royale format. Nobody at Epic Games thought Fortnite was going to be a battle royale game. Not once. Someone there made them, the rogue decision to turn it into a battle royale game and rip off PUBG, and it worked. It worked really damn good.
Yeah.
But Ubisoft's that's lightning in a bottle. They caught lightning in a bottle, and Ubisoft thinks they can do the same years after the fact. Even PUBG is not really a thing anymore.
Yeah.
And nobody
now
cares
they
about PUBG
even have
anymore.
Warzone and all the other battle royales out there. Yeah.
And it's like you seriously want to compete with Fortnite, which is hugely established.
Yeah.
The machine that is Call of Duty that just never stops. Even Warzone 2 is struggling, and Ubisoft wanted to pile more battle royales into this, I suppose Apex Legends was another one that did all right. But it's Ubisoft's insane, and this is them catching up with them. I think Ubisoft needs to really just downsize and just go back to basics.
Yeah.
It's almost like what's happening with 343 and Halo, where it's like we're designing Halo because we have to design Halo. Ubisoft's kind of took that mentality and applied it to their entire company. We're making Assassin's Creed because we have to make Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
We're making Ghost Recon because we have to make Ghost Recon. And they're all the same game. They all have the same tropes, the same villains, the same systems, the same side quests in some cases. And it's just Far Cry merges with Ghost Recon, merges with Assassin's Creed. And you're doing the same thing in all of the games. They're all open world. They're all bloated as hell because they want to trick the player into just doing the same thing over and over again. So they'll stay in the game and maybe buy a few microtransactions here and there. But they've overdone it. They've overdone it. It's the Guitar Hero syndrome. Activision really overdid it with Guitar Hero. They made like 1 billion Guitar Hero games, and to the point where everyone just got sick of it. And Ubisoft's done that with their entire portfolio, and now they've made themselves redundant. Because if you played one Ubisoft game, you played all of them. They need to go back to the drawing board. They need to start making smaller scale games again, games that have heart. And actually end. They were doing this for a little while. I thought the Ubisoft, oh wow, they're really turning it around.
With Rayman Legends was one that stuck with me. Yeah, Child
of Light.
Yes, that was.
I mention that all the time. These Ubisoft original titles. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, wow, you're actually trying to do something new and fresh and interesting, and then they threw all that away, like straight away. I was really, really bugged me.
2 years ago, when was it? When they brought out Immortals: Phoenix Rising, I thought like, oh, okay, now you're going into a different route, trying something new in an open world. But then, they went straight back to their formula. I mean, granted, it's a good formula, otherwise they wouldn't have been so successful. But I totally understand what you're saying. And a company of that size and magnitude, you would guess that they are able to set their own trends. Because Dutch, we talked about this, I think last week or 2 weeks ago. They have 20,000 employees. Like, that's Xbox Bethesda with Activision Blizzard King combined in terms of staff. It's a massive company, and it just tells you how much overhead they must have and how inefficient they must work. And that this now leads, of course, to issues. I'm not really surprised. What about you?
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all, and obviously there was a follow-up post as well. The staff had a meeting with Yves Guillemot and relayed the same things that we're saying. Essentially, they said to Yves in this meeting, and Yves apologized for his comments, but they said we need to stop jumping on trends all the time. We need to be setting trends. That is essentially the feeling of the developers themselves, and this is a kind of an entire company-wide Q&A that they had internally. And if the staff are telling you that, you need to listen to your staff, stop listening to your shareholders, and let them be imaginative. If the staff are feeling at this point that they're not allowed to be creative because they're essentially trying to chase these trends, as you mentioned, Jez, 10 battle royales is just
that's crazy.
Battle Royale in itself is already on, like, it's kind of teetering on what's the point anymore. Like, we know there's a Halo Battle Royale coming out, but unless it does something absolutely drastic when it releases, it's not gonna touch the Richter scale in terms of its popularity. You've got your kind of three kings there already in your Warzone, your Fortnite, and Apex. Like, there's nothing coming close to touching them three. PUBG had its moment, and unfortunately, it's kind of, again, teetering on the way out. They are absolutely right. Stop tracing these trends. But Ubisoft, like you say, are in terms of staff count, a juggernaut, 20,000 staff. They've got studios in pretty much every
It's
country in
massive.
the world.
Yeah.
And they don't even, it's not even creative with the studio names either. They've just named them whichever city they're in. Ubisoft Paris, Ubisoft Netherlands, Ubisoft
Montreal and so on. Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
And it's kind of, okay, you guys are doing this, you guys are doing this, you guys are doing this. It's kind of the situation that Activision have with Call of Duty, where they just kind of go, right, all of you are making Call of Duty now.
Yeah. I mean, these gigantic games, they are hard to make. How many?
But again,
I don't know.
And this is the issue a lot of people had. As much as me and you enjoyed Valhalla, as much as we enjoyed it, the vast majority of people said that game was far too long.
Yeah.
It dragged out. They couldn't be bothered to finish it because it felt like it dragged.
Yeah.
When a game starts to feel like it's taking a long time, that's when you know the game is too long. When a game is outstayed its welcome.
Most
and
certainly.
Valhalla very much has done that for a lot of people. And when you then going to continue, okay, we're going to continue with our key franchises in Assassin's Creed, which has already got 3 titles announced going forwards, maybe 4. And then you Ghost Recons and you Splinter Cell remake, which I'm kind of worried about.
Yeah.
For all of those, you need to get, as Jez mentioned, you need to get back to the Ubisoft originals. Like, what happened to Ubisoft originals? What happened to all of these inventive titles? Like, as he mentioned, Child of Light was beautiful. It was brilliant. It was a new take on a JRPG, essentially, in a more of a platforming method. You had the traditional turn-based JRPG combat, but it was in an entirely different world to float around in.
It was something unique, definitely.
Beautiful. Yeah. And again, as he mentioned, with historic titles like Rayman, which has just been kicked to the bins for no reason whatsoever, like, reinvent Rayman, like, bring back that classic Rayman that we all loved.
Absolutely. I would love that, man.
It's insane, like, all of the things that they could do and the staff want to do. And again, Eve's come out and essentially tried to blame the staff, and it is a collective thing. They need to have more open forums internally about decision making, in a sense, in terms of what games are being created. Instead of, and he's kind of just saying, okay, well, you need to pull your fingers out because this is down to you to fix the problem, essentially. Instead of saying, listen, we have made mistakes, we have had issues, he needs to kind of own that situation. He, after all, is the CEO. He's the one that answers to shareholders.
At the end, it's his responsibility. Absolutely. Yeah. Listen, man, good talk. But I want to catch up on some of the super chats real quick and then move on to one more topic. The first super chat comes in from Dave Ramos. He sends in $2. He says, surprises, yay. Maybe updated Game Pass numbers too. I think he was referring to our talk about the upcoming Developer Direct. Yeah, man, an update on Game Pass numbers would be cool. What do you guys guess? I think probably we're still a little under 30. What do you guess where we sit right now?
27.
0.35? Game Pass subscriber numbers.
I have no idea. I think the Riot situation might have moved the needle a fair bit.
Ah, true. I haven't thought about that.
You can get all the Riot content now. With
League of Legends is massive. Yeah.
So, maybe we're at 30 million now. But I don't suppose we'll know. I wonder if, because Microsoft's fiscal quarterly earnings report's coming up, if they have hit a milestone, it probably would be a good opportunity to offset some of the bad news to shareholders. Because, shareholders have not reacted well to this round of layoffs. Usually, layoffs cause a share price to go up, but Microsoft share price is down 3% since this news. So maybe they announced Game Pass numbers have gone up, but I don't know. Will they have gone up? Don't know.
By the end of the year when Starfield comes out, for sure. Then we have Fedorus Socrates. He sends in €5. Thank you so much. He says, Game Pass is the real enemy of Xbox. 68 billion ABK deal is directly for Game Pass and directly against traditional Xbox. Don't deny it, just don't. Yeah, dude, I appreciate the super chat, but I would disagree here. I think Game Pass is the game changer that Microsoft introduced into the gaming industry.
But I think we've said it from the start anyway. The main chunk of the purpose of ABK is actually to do with King.
Yes,
It's the mobile segment.
Yeah.
It's not so much the rest of it. Like King is the ultimate focus for this. Really, that's the purpose of the acquisition. The rest of it is an added bonus. Of course, you're getting Call of Duty and all that stuff, but
yeah, but
the
what is
mobile
all
segment-
that stuff we get? Like, if you look at for console players, it's like Call of Duty, yes. And while Call of Duty is massive, it's one game, and then we get like a Diablo every 12, 13 years or something, and that's it.
Well,
and then,
I mean, the most exciting thing for me of that whole acquisition is getting a really talented developer in Toys for Bob that can do a new Banjo, please.
Man, I want Tony Hawk to be revived. So if we in a good way.
It's all about StarCraft, baby.
StarCraft, yeah.
Yeah. See, we've all got our dreams.
We all have our dreams. I mean, StarCraft. Microsoft is on fire with their real-time strategy games. We have like Ara History Untold coming. I'm really looking forward to that one. I want to see what the makers of Civilization are up to these days. So, yeah. StarCraft. Oof.
Yes, would you like to see? Would you love to see a WoW on console? Would you love to see that happen?
No. I mean, I would for people who want it, but I could not play well on console. You need a keyboard and mouse to play that game, probably. Like, I've got like, how many keybinds for my Warlock? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I got 21 abilities I have to press to play my Warlock properly. And that's not including PvP. So, how do you do that on a controller?
Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah, but isn't there like a mod or something for World of Warcraft that supports controllers or something?
There is a mod that you can use to play controllers,
Yeah.
but like there are some classes which have less abilities to press. Like you could probably play a Ret Paladin with 2 buttons, maybe. But
I did see.
It's just got really angry at me. But
I was going to
like,
say, I did
couldn't
see
play
these.
a Demonology Warlock with that many buttons.
I did see these limited edition, special edition keyboards specifically for Warcraft, though, and that was the first time I'd ever seen one actually, where an entire right segment of the keyboard was just all of the different abilities and buttons that you
Yeah,
needed
I
to press.
remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
They looked awesome. If I was ever going to get into that, I would try and pin down one of them old keyboards. To be honest, I think that would be the only way I'd be able to focus on exactly what I was needing to press instead of having 21 random keys.
Yeah.
And my brother plays with a special mouse that's got 12 buttons on the side, just for like the extra keyboards.
Oh, crazy. Jez, you made some headlines this week. You tweeted out Quantum Break needs to happen, and Sean Ashmore himself actually replied to you and said, "I'm in," and ever since my timeline is full with Quantum Break 2 wishes. Yeah. I found that really funny because it was just like 2 weeks ago, or was it 3 weeks ago when we had Special Nick? We were having a short conversation about how we all want Quantum Break to come back. So, yeah. Do you think there's a realistic chance that they will pick that up again?
Nah, I don't think so. Probably not. I mean, I don't know. I want to believe that there is a universe, an alternative dimension. an alternative universe where Quantum Break could come back, but it's probably one of them, wishful thinking kind of things. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting that Sean Ashmore's a really good guy. Like he followed me on Twitter ages and ages ago when I was really small. Like Quantum Break was the first ever AAA video game preview that I did at Gamescom.
Nice.
I queued up, and that was the year that I slept on the airport bench because I couldn't afford a hotel, and the game I covered was Quantum Break. I was one of the first people to get a preview up of Quantum Break because I didn't go to the press behind closed doors. I just went and queued up for the public presentation, and then wrote it up, sat on the floor and wrote it up on my laptop. So I was like, grinding hard to beat the press, the established press. Yeah. And that was the first preview that went up. And I think PR was confused. They were like, hang on a sec, what? How did someone get a preview up so quickly, So it kind of helped me get noticed, the speed, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always spoken to him back and forth about it, and he's always been really enthusiastic about the idea of doing it again. I mean, they've got the pieces in play. I'm sure Remedy would do it. I'm sure Sean Ashmore would do it. He said he would. We just need Microsoft to believe in it.
I would love for them to believe in it.
I'm probably going to write about it next week.
Sweet. That's a cool story. I didn't know that Quantum Break was basically your first big AAA preview. That's cool. When Control came out, not that I didn't like Control. Control was a good game, but I preferred Quantum Break. But since Control was like so well received, I think they just gonna continue with that IP for the moment. But man, like you said, it would be awesome if Microsoft believed in it. Where do you stand with Quantum Break?
I enjoyed it, to be honest. I enjoyed it. I think the only drawback here is how is Microsoft's relationship with Remedy?
Yeah.
That is, I think that's the only key outlier here. And there's two games that I think are underappreciated, dramatically underappreciated on the Xbox side, and I think that's been Quantum Break and Rise. And I think the community overall would love to see both of those get their second chance. We've heard plenty of rumors that there could be a Rise 2 in development, but multi-platform. But it's obvious, of course. It seems to be more like both of these are cult hits. Both of these are where the community overall loved these games, but unfortunately, critically, they got canned. But also, we don't know what the should we say the sales reception was like for any of these games either. How well did they do financially? Was it a worthwhile investment for Xbox? Was it a worthwhile investment, kind of commercially, should we say? And that's ultimately the way Microsoft possibly look at it going forwards. If it wasn't a commercial success, why would we invest in creating these titles going forwards, even if the community's asking for it? Because it could just be the loud minority that are asking for it. We've got Twitter trends and things like that. But again, outside of your social media, the general public is ultimately the ones that you've got to try and convince to buy these games, not the hardcore, loud, hardcore gamers like we are on Twitter asking for these cult games to be reborn. But I enjoyed it. I'd very much love to see more in the universe of Quantum Break and see what else can be done with it. Yeah. And the characters are obviously fond of their time making that game and would love to work on it again. So that's, again, great news. But will it happen? I think it's more, I would say, closer to 30-70. It's probably 30% likely, 40% not. Yeah. And that boils down more to its original commercial success and the relationship with Remedy.
Yeah, that says a lot, indeed. Another speculation that came up this week again is Scalebound. I think the talk about this game will never die. And this goes out to Special Nick. he brought it up again that he has heard something. So yeah, I don't think it's ever gonna happen. Do you guys see it differently, or will we ever see the end of the Scalebound talk? Jez, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I don't think Scalebound's coming back. I don't believe it for a second. Sorry, Nick.
Yeah.
But I don't believe the Scalebound rumor at all. But God, who knows? Crazy things have happened. Microsoft's tried to buy Activision for $69 billion. So
True.
that is arguably crazier than Scalebound coming back, just about. But no, I don't believe it for a second. But yeah, I don't know why this won't die. I think it's because like Platinum can make a great game. They can make terrible games.
Yes.
But they can also make, when they're firing on all cylinders, they can really make a great game. And I think a lot of people are just like really enamored with the idea of Xbox having its very own answer to Bayonetta or Nier Automata, all of its own, with dragons.
Yeah.
I thought the game looked okay, but at the same time, I'm just kind of like, why are people so in love with this?
Yeah.
And the protagonist was so cringe. Beats
with the headphones
wearing,
yeah,
like just horrible shit. Doesn't appeal to me, but maybe I'm not the target audience. I don't know. Dragons are cool though.
Yeah,
dragons are pretty
true
cool.
That.
And the combat looked really good.
Yeah,
in the prototypes. But is it the hill I'm willing to die on, or I think anyone else should die on? Probably not. But yeah, we can't have an Xbox podcast anywhere in the world without mentioning Scalebound at least one time.
Indeed.
It's the rule. It's the law now.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're not an Xbox podcast. Yeah, indeed. Dutch, anything you want to say on Scalebound before we move for the last couple of minutes that we have with Jez to the community questions?
For the purpose of Vin, who'll probably be listening, chat time out for you. Yeah, don't mention Scalebound. No, I also don't think it's happening for a multitude of reasons. And I also don't understand the community's obsession with it, or those within the community's obsession with it. The game was technically a train wreck. One of the main reasons that game never came to fruition was because it was technically an absolute mess. Microsoft knew it was a technical mess. They couldn't get that game to run, and it was binned. Ultimately, the vision of the game wasn't coming to fruition. It was technically terrible. I mean, even the showcase of the game that they showed off was barely a stuttering 20 frames at best. It was filled with issues, and that wasn't even somebody playing the game. That was the gameplay demo of it that they tried to show off. So I don't understand. Like, I can understand maybe the cool dragons. Yeah, but so many different dragon games you can do. If they want to make a dragon game, I'm sure they'll go out and make a dragon game. But like right now, if you try to bring Scalebound back now in a world where dubstep is no longer the hip cool thing, like what that just wouldn't work.
No.
Come on, it's one of them dreams that people had at the time. And I'm talking a long time ago, that they've just held on to because it was a time and a period where Microsoft had nothing to show. They had 0 games. Scalebound was this big new exclusive, and now it's irrelevant.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
If
you look at the pipeline, what they have coming,
it's pointless for the conversation now. They've got so much more intriguing content coming. And
Indeed.
So much more that we don't know of that's in development with project names left, right, and center. So I think people would be far happier with what they're going to get than what Platinum could have made. And I think Jez is right on the Nier section. Like, Nier Automata is one of my I'd never played that game. Never played the Nier universe at all. Played Nier Automata when it came out on Xbox and absolutely loved it.
Fantastic.
Loved Nier Replicant remastered when that came out. Again, fantastic. But Platinum are extremely hit and miss, as Jez pointed out. Like, some games are unbelievable. Like, like Nier was, and other games are just terrible.
Yeah,
And Scalebound was that. It was terrible.
true.
So please let it die.
And with that, we move to a super chat from Dave. He says, "Isn't Game Pass what allows Xbox to support diverse games, including games that haven't received critical acclaim, like Quantum Break, just as an example?"
Possibly, but I think that would be a bigger chunk of change to try and make that happen.
I think the games are still being made to make money. So the way how a game can have commercial success is just different with Game Pass. I don't think that Xbox wants to make commercially unsuccessful games just because of Game Pass. It's still, they want to make money with the games, just the way how they do it is different. But yeah, I know that Jez needs to go in a few, so we want to move over to the community questions, because up front before the show, people can write in on Twitter or Xbox or PlayStation and even on YouTube some questions, so that we answer when people cannot tune in live. And we have a couple of good ones for you this week. Oscar Emilio Gonzalez writes in and asks, what is it like to be a mayonnaise lover? That's not the question. He wants to know, what's your daily job like?
My daily job? Man, I mean, what is my daily job like? It's different every day, really. I mean, I suppose I get up, I have something to eat, usually a sandwich. And then I'll sit down at the computer and open Reddit and Twitter, see what terrible dramas happened when I was asleep. And then I used to have, back in the old days before we had mountains of layoffs, we used to have a very structured week where it'd be like the editors and whatever, they would set out what was going to be published the next week, the previous week. So we'd always have a content flow. But now we have like no editors left, except for me. I'm just like, guys, I ain't gonna organize shit. Write whatever you want, as much as you want every day. So now I just come up with the ideas of what to write that day. Now I don't plan ahead at all. I just sort of react to what's going on. So my life used to be quite like preparing stuff for the following week, but now it's just like coming up with ideas on the fly, writing news, reacting to news, seeing what information I've got coming in, coming up with ideas, talking to the community, you guys, and amplifying people's concerns to the brand, really. And just being like, well, do this better, Xbox, because we're paying for it and we want you to do it better.
Yeah.
But yeah, my days are pretty simple. I just write stuff into a web browser a lot of the time. It's pretty simple. Quite lucky, really.
Indeed. Indeed. Michipoo writes in an interesting question. On average, how many game codes do you guys think are given out pre- and post-release by the companies to journalists, content creators, etc.? And are these free codes counted towards sale figures?
They're not counted to sale figures. Yeah. But we talk, they queue up thousands of codes for influencers, YouTubers, streamers, journalists, mates, friends and family. they can just print as much codes as they want. Back in the day, I believe Microsoft and Sony used to charge for code generation.
Okay.
But in the era of because digital bandwidth used to cost money, right?
Yeah.
But more money than it does now. But now, like, cloud servers have come down in price and they're more accessible, blah blah blah. Like there was a time where Xbox charged like tens of thousands of dollars just to patch your game, You know,
Oh,
now
really?
it's free to update your
Yeah.
game. Yeah, but they used to charge developers to update their game. That's why some games on 360 were just left broken because it didn't
Wasn't
make
profitable.
economic sense
Okay.
to update.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So-
I didn't know.
Yeah, these days updating stuff's free because
Yeah.
bandwidth, who cares, you know?
Yeah.
Global internet's much faster than it used to be and doesn't
Indeed.
cost as much money.
Yeah.
So I completely lost
Mm.
what the original point was. I'm getting a bit
Oh.
sleepy, can you tell?
No problem. So what I noticed, and maybe that's just me sitting here in Germany, that different countries get different amount of codes. Obviously, even smaller creators in the US get easier codes than like bigger creators in other countries. Do you know anything about this? How this is like structured?
Every publisher does it differently. You know, every publisher does it differently. Some of them make you jump through all kinds of hoops and sign NDAs and do all this, and others are just like, yeah, I have a code. You know, some publishers are just really cool about it, and others are like, you know, they want to know how you've supported the game or if you've covered the game before. You know, do you deserve a code kind of thing, you know, to try and incentivize people to write up their stuff. But the games media's evolved. You know, Google's changed its algorithms. Like, reviews just don't make money. They don't make money for anyone. And so and Google's increasingly moved its algorithm away from the formal review, and they're increasingly prioritizing like more clickable content, like you know, check out this stupid, ridiculous glitch in this game. You know, that's more likely to get clicks than a game review would. So like, I know like a lot of the discourse and interest in game reviewing seems to revolve around the idea of getting a free game code. But I think that whole sort of mentality of exclusivity over getting codes is just kind of eroded by Game Pass, you know, as well. And the whole idea of a formal review doesn't make any sense anymore when you can just try it on Game Pass.
Try it out yourself, yeah. Indeed.
Why would you read a review?
Yeah.
You just try on Game Pass. Don't, you know, you don't even
It's
need
like
to
the
download
ultimate
it.
demo. Yeah.
Yeah, stream it via the cloud on your Xbox. You
Yeah.
don't even need to download the game. You just try it out that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, every publisher does it differently though, and yeah, you're right. Some countries will probably get allocated more stuff. I know I haven't got codes before because you know the PR company will be like, "Are you based in America or the UK?" And I'll be like, "Based in the UK," and they'll be like, "Well, we don't have codes for the UK." You know, even though it's basically the same audience. You know,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of weird restrictions and stuff. But oh well.
Yeah. Interesting stuff here. Dave Ramos asks, Jez, if you could help Xbox with one of its shows during the year, which show would you want to help out with? E3, TGS, Developer Direct? Which one would it be?
That's an interesting question. Probably Gamescom, purely because I wouldn't have to travel to America. Flying across the Atlantic is grueling. You know, I hate that 9-hour flight, man.
Okay.
But I don't know. Honestly, this is kind of a cop out, but I don't think it'd be appropriate for me to like appear at one of their shows or anything in an official capacity. Because like I sort of like I'm there to criticize them and critique them, you know. And like, yeah, I celebrate the good stuff, but if I'm there basically helping them with marketing, that kind of doesn't sit that well with me.
Yeah.
You know, I have shot documentaries for them in the past. Like I did a whole thing about the Windows Phone, Nokia Lumia, and how I use it in my day to day. You know, I suppose that was marketing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I didn't have to say anything that wasn't true. You know.
Yeah.
I suppose like at a show though, you'd be talking about games that aren't out yet. You can't really say anything bad about something you haven't tried, right?
Yeah, probably you would even get some things scripted for you, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I had no script for any of that Lumia stuff.
Yeah.
Just told my truth about it and stuff. I don't know.
Mm.
That's an interesting question, though. I mean, like, if I wasn't employed, you know, if I actually worked for Xbox,
Mm.
you know, not that I ever, you know, would be able to. I'd definitely like to work more with. I mean, this isn't really the question, but I'd love to work with the social media team. I think the social media team's doing a great job on the socials and
Yes.
bringing you know, a bit of joy in amongst the doom scrolling.
Yeah.
I think Josh Stein, and the NXL teams, they do a great job on social.
Yeah. They do. Indeed. So, last quick question before we let you go and finish our show for today. True Ironleg writes in and asks, this is a Starfield question. What movie or game-inspired spaceship will you try to design in the game?
Red Dwarf. Easy.
Mm.
Do you know Red Dwarf? I don't wonder in Dutch knows Red Dwarf. Red Dwarf's a mining ship from a classic British space sitcom. And pretty much in every single game like this, I try to make Red Dwarf. What else? I tried to make Red Dwarf in Astroneer. And I've tried to make it in Minecraft. I named my ship in No Man's Sky.
Googling it right now. Red Dwarf,
Red Dwarf.
Spaceship.
Red Dwarf.
Okay.
Red Dwarf. Red.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah, dwarf.
Brilliant.
Highly
sarcastic.
okay.
Yeah, highly sarcastic, great humor, great show.
Yeah, best show.
Never seen that show. Never seen or heard of that show. So
it's life changing. There's a spaceship Red Dwarf. It's a big red mining ship that eats asteroids, and sucks all the minerals out of them.
okay.
And they get like what happens? They get like stranded in space, basically. You know, long story short. And the main character is in like stasis for like millions of years, and then he wakes up millions of years later and everybody's dead.
Okay.
There's like just him and a robot and a hologram left, and you know it's just him alone in space. It's really, really good.
Oh,
It's really good.
I have to look it up. I have to look it up if it's on one of the streaming services then. For me, it's easy. I'm probably gonna design the Normandy from Mass Effect. So, what about you, Dutch?
Yeah, I know. Mick's also going to be doing Red Dwarf.
Okay.
being British, yeah, the vast majority, if they weren't doing Red Dwarf, it would be something along those lines. But for me, it might even be something like the Prometheus.
Mm-hmm.
I love Alien, love the Alien franchise, and that was awesome. But it would be either that or, and it'd probably be an even more difficult one, but the horror film as well. I keep forgetting the name of it. In space, it was a space horror. I'm trying to rack my brains now. I keep forgetting the name of it.
Horizon.
Event Horizon.
Yeah, the Event Horizon. I would, if it was a possibility to try and recreate the Event Horizon, possibly do that.
That's a
That
massive
was
spaceship, dude.
That was like a big giant sausage, wasn't it?
Yes,
If I remember that.
Yeah.
a phallus.
Good stuff here. Good stuff. Okay, guys, but let's wrap this up. Jez, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a blast having you on. As always, super fun to talk with you about games and gaming and Xbox in particular.
Yeah, sorry, I'm tired. Like
No
I
problem.
got really early this morning, so it's sort of that's why I've been a bit low energy. But thanks very much for having me on. It's been awesome.
Yeah. So in case people do not know where to find you, I made it very easy. So just click in the description of the show note and you will find Jez's links to the socials and Windows Central and everything right there. But yeah, do tell people about the great Xbox show. I think everyone should probably already know it, but in case they don't, do tell them about what you've coming up.
I run an Xbox podcast on Randall Thor 19's YouTube channel called the Xbox 2 Podcast. also on stream service and stuff. And you can also find me on windowscentral.com covering Xbox and Microsoft news.
Sweet. So Dutch, I think our listeners do know where to find you, but of course your links are also in the description. And what have you coming up?
Yeah, so thankfully free weekend this weekend, so I'm going to actually get some game time in. Thank God.
Monster Hunter, man. I'm going to take you up on this.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to playing it actually and seeing what this one's like. But next week, of course, thankfully, we've got our first event of the year, so we'll be covering that on. And gracefully, the Xbox gods have put that within the time frame of our
directly
podcast.
in your show.
Directly in the show. It's as if they knew.
Yeah.
So thank you, Xbox, for listening. Live coverage of the showcase. So I'm looking forward to that, of course. But yeah, you can find me everywhere at Wondering Dutch. I've got numerous shows we're always working on. So come and join us.
Absolutely. So, yeah, let me thank also everyone who tuned in here today. We had over 200 people watching us live here today, which is awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for the super chats and all the support. Truly appreciate it. Also, a big shout out, of course, to everyone who listens on the podcast services around the globe, on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. You can find us there as well. Yeah, and then next week on Thursday, of course, we will talk about what we thought about the big Xbox showcase, the developer direct showcase, and we're gonna do that with the other part of the Xbox 2 podcast. Randall Thor is gonna join us next week here on the World of Gaming, so we're looking forward to that, of course, as well. But other than that, I think we covered it pretty well for this week. Again, thanks everyone for tuning in, and don't forget to game on.